Colonel Gibson, we just had a fabulous tour of the Stonewall Jackson house. There's so much detail to cover here, but can you give us an overview? A visitor comes here, what can they expect to see?
Well, this is the only home that the man that would become known around the world as Stonewall Jackson. He was just Major Tom Jackson here in Lexington. But this is the only home that he would ever own. He will be dead by the age of 39, killed during the American Civil War. So 10 years of his 39 years were spent here in Lexington as a citizen, very actively involved in the community. So this house was very much a part of his development as a family man and a pillar of the community.
So this house is less about the Civil War and more about the person that became one of the central figures.
That's exactly it. This house shows, well, all of those soldiers that participated on every battle of the American Civil War, all of those deaths, all those casualties, millions of individuals caught up in the war, 65% of the battlefields here in Virginia. All of those people had a backstory, if you will. You know, they came from a little town like this. They joined the regiment and fought for the causes that they believed in, North and South. So Jackson's story is reflective of that. Who was this person that becomes this world-renowned military leader?
You give a lot of the tours that you just gave us, Colonel. Is there a room that stands out more than others that you feel connected to in some way?
I think there a room that certainly has a great deal of meaning, as it did to the Jacksons, was their dining room. Not only was it the place that they would bring people in and share a meal with them, which is always a special experience for friends to get together, but it was also the place that they came together and had their daily prayers, very staunch Presbyterians. And not just the Jacksons, but they insisted that their enslaved persons, the slaves that lived with them, that they owned, joined them in that process as well.
And interesting as well in that the house is kind of a snapshot of that whole time period. It's not some sort of romanticized notion of what it was all about. I mean, you know, we saw where Jackson would have gone to the bathroom, etc. We saw, like, you see all of the detail, and it's all preserved the way it would have been. Is it hard to maintain that level of preservation?
Well, it's based on years of extensive research and forensics analysis of the structure itself, what it tells us, what their diaries and memoirs tell us, what we know to be standards of the period. And we do want to have that unvarnished, raw, this is what life, this is the reality of life of that period, represented by this person that becomes famous but wasn't famous here. So we think that telling that story is helps us understand the entire period, not just this individual, but the entire time period of which he was a major figure.
You know, you cover so much information in such detail that a lot of the books, I'm not sure, cover. Like, for instance, Stonewall Jackson, I had no idea it was like he was a man ahead of his time. He stood up, he was concerned about his health.
Very much. Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Jackson, I think perhaps because he had seen people in his family die at early ages, he was an orphan by the age of 7, becomes very concerned about his own health. His eyesight, for example, he had to do a lot of studying under dim light conditions, very concerned about that. Would go take the healing waters in New York during the summer times, and here in Virginia as well, well known for its healing springs. So very conscious of that, and even for his own purposes developed some habits, daily habits, that folks that know about such things are telling us would help us today, like standing up, not sitting at your desk, but standing up and doing your work at your desk. Jackson was one of the first to do that.
Exercising, yeah.
Daily exercise, yeah.